Hi, everybody. It's Kelly from The Hub. I'm here today with Brittany Mellinger. You know that face. She's with Lancaster Housing Opportunity Partnership. We call them LHOP. Brittany, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you, Kelly?
I'm doing all right. So today we're going to talk about people who have been incarcerated, who are reentering back into their life outside, and things they might encounter when they're trying to rent a place to live. So let's dive right in. What have you found are some stumbling blocks for those people?
Well, as you know, if you've ever applied for an apartment unit, most landlords will run some sort of a background check. So they'll be looking at your credit history, if you've been evicted before, and they also might check your criminal record to see what charges you may have in your past. Now, some landlords think that it can just be an open and shut book. You know, if you've got something on there, they can just go ahead and straight deny you. But HUD has released some guidance in 2016 that provides a little bit more information on how that should be approached. When we're talking about housing discrimination, we talk about two different kinds. So one is disparate treatment, which is when you directly treat someone differently because of their protected class. So say, you know, you're a family with kids, so I don't want to rent to you because I think your kids are going to destroy my apartment. That would be disparate treatment if they're treating you differently because of protected class.
Even though you don't know my kids, you're just making that decision based on the fact that I have kids.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is, you won't rent to me just because I have anything in my criminal background.
Right. So if you're familiar with the protected classes for fair housing, criminal background isn't one of those.
Right.
However, there's a link. So that's where disparate impact comes in. You're looking at a policy that sounds neutral on its face. You don't think you're trying to discriminate against anyone, but it actually has a different effect on people with, in a protected class. So if we say, you know, no one can rent an apartment here if they have a criminal record. It sounds neutral on its face, right?
Right.
However, we know that based on a lot of data, a lot of social science research that's happened, we know that communities of color are policed differently than white communities. Even if they have the same rates of drug usage, you're going to find that African Americans and Latinos are often arrested and charged at higher rates. It just has to do with our history of policing and the way that looks in America right now. So what we find with fair housing is that just looking at someone's criminal record might not actually give a full picture of how good of a tenant or how risky of a tenant a person might be. So landlords should take another look and really try to assess what the conviction is. They shouldn't look at a charge. They should just look at actual convictions and consider the nature, the severity, and the recency of that conviction to see if this prospective tenant might be a health and safety risk of other tenants. So if you're a tenant or a prospective tenant, you've recently exited incarceration and you're wondering, well, how do I navigate that? You should know that a landlord should not reject you just because you have a criminal background. But they will likely run a background check just to see what's there. So I recommend being open and honest, that you do have some stuff in your background, but that you've taken steps to address it. So if you're working with any kind of support group, probation and parole, if you are working with a case manager, something like that, talk about the supports that you have in your life, the steps and the responsibility that you've taken, and present your case to your landlord. Because a good landlord is going to consider all of that and consider the whole picture rather than just looking at your criminal record.
So let's say that there's a person who's re-entering society and they're working with a myriad of social service agencies. Like they're working with financial counseling, they're working with career counseling, they're working with recovery, maybe they're working with, could be a myriad of different things. Could those people also help that person, like write a letter of support or make a phone call or do those kinds of things to be able to help that person out?
Absolutely. Any of those folks could be a great reference for the prospective tenant, and speak on their behalf, talk about their relationship and working with them, and what their assessment of their ability to be a good tenant is.
That's really helpful. That's really helpful. Oh, I love that. It's hard enough when you're someone who's reentering society to be able to do that kind of stuff. So it's good to know that there are people who can help them make sure that they're not being discriminated against in their housing life as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's someone out there who needs you, who's just doesn't know where to turn, can they make a phone call to your office and ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give us a call. We're happy to talk. They can reach me at my Google Voice number at 717-584-1803, and I'm happy to talk with them. We even have programs that are set up that are designed to help tenants that have faced barriers to getting into housing, such as having a criminal record, and we're happy to talk with them about their options. One last thing before we go, I do want to let prospective tenants know that they might go through a little bit of different process working with a private landlord versus working with a property management company. The private landlord might have a little more flexibility around their tenant selection criteria and might be a little more willing to give a second chance. Whereas if you're applying to a property complex, they may have more rigid tenant selection criteria. So like I said before, they can't do that blanket ban and just say, nope, because you have a criminal record, you can't live here. But they may say, if you've got a recent felony, within the past 5 years or something like that, then they wouldn't rent to you. But they always do have an appeal process as well. So please inquire about that. So that way you can go ahead and have the opportunity to make your case.
Wonderful information as always. Brittany, thank you very much. And we'll talk again next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Kelly.
See ya. Bye-bye.